I realized something about myself a few years back that I didn't ever want to admit. And I thought, getting muscles, that was enough to defend yourself. But I came to realize it's not. All I was is even more embarrassing because you invite that attention from looking that way, but you don't have any capability. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the right pill because then it forces action. Because you are literally like a gazelle, and the world isn't as safe as you might think it is. And there are nutcases about who will pull dirty things to get you down. And not being naive about this, especially as a man, is very important because you're not training for aggression, you're training for capability. It's very different. You're training for that security that you can protect innocent people, people you love, and vulnerable people, and most importantly, yourself. And a key example of this was it was a Sunday evening, and I'd been out the night before. I was feeling a little bit fragile, and there were these two guys hooded up with masks on, just relaxed, just waltzing into the mini Tesco, like my mini Tesco in my hometown. So it's, it plays on your heart a little bit because you've grown up, that's been your local shop, and you've got these two lowlifes just walking in like they own the place, and not just stealing but hoarding stuff like books, toilet paper, anything they can get their hands on, like the more material side of Tesco. It's only a mini one, but like more, like books and things like that. And they were just hoarding them in the flats behind the shop. And I first saw it and I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. So I just carried on, went into the shop to get my stuff. And my eyes weren't deceiving me. They were literally just going in there, didn't give a toss. And I was just like looking at everyone. Everyone was looking at me, and everyone was looking like what is happening? And I got my stuff, and then saw them. They were coming back in for round 3, and I just went, "Are you boys like just stealing stuff, just hoarding stuff out of this shop?" Like, just said to them directly, trying not to be too confrontational, but I wasn't just gonna, stand there. And the confidence to do that comes from knowing how to defend myself and being capable physically, and not just being a show. But I could see in their eyes they were nutcases. They had nothing to lose, and all he did, he looked at me and just said, "We ain't doing nothing, bro," and just emotionally looked at me, and I just read the situation. They just looked dangerous, and if there's any blade involved, you run. And I then went into the shop and just let them know, like, those guys were just stealing and hoarding stuff out the shop, and they just were like, "Yeah, it happens all the time. They always come here like every month or so, and they just do the same thing, and we call the police, and they don't do anything." And I spoke to another one of the workers, because I just left, and then one of the workers came out and pulled me over for a chat just to talk about it. And he said he'd been punched in the face, and he was too scared to call the police because he just knows they won't do anything. He didn't want to defend himself because he didn't want to get in trouble. So there's like innocent people, hardworking people that are getting less favour from the legal system than these absolute degenerates. And, it's an issue. But yeah, and he was just saying, and like, it feels good and noble, when you aren't using it for wrong. But, when stuff does happen and these people they're scared, can't defend themselves, it gives you a backbone to stand up for what's right when it's necessary. Because at the end of the day, they're stealing at that shop, and that's like our local shop. And, there's not much community feel in the world anymore, but like it feels personal because like people live in the same area. You still have a connection. They in the same town that you grew up in. So there's robbing resources for them. And they're not from here. And they've just come on a train because you can get out from London in about 30 minutes. And they're just robbing and just going to then get back on the train and go back. In those situations, you're able to control your aggression because you've learned through training that, fighting's a skill, and you're actually more in observation and reading mode instead of fight or flight. So it gives you that capability to control your actions and do it from the right place. And the world is not as safe as you think. You're a man, and you're not a kid anymore. You get looked at in the same way every other man gets looked at, and no one's coming to save you. And combat sports just gives you that security that you don't have to walk around feeling like prey anymore.